This is Eric from Boomi Support. In this video, we'll look at why you get this message on your screen when you're running the flow, and at some point you see this message saying that waiting for an authorized user to complete the step, even though you have logged into the flow. So the simple reason why you see this on the screen is that you're running a flow which has gotten authentication via an IDP on the main flow, and in your flow itself, you have swim lane protection for some of the elements. And in that swim lane, you also have an IDP to restrict the users that can access the element in the swim lane. It is that a user who is successfully logged into a flow is performing an action in a swim lane, and that user is not within the group, the swim lane. So let me just show you what I mean by that. So here I have a flow, and when I go to flow properties, you can see that I have an identity provider, and I have limited the users to a specific group of users for this identity provider. And also I have a swim lane, which has got just one step element. And for the swim lane configuration, I'm also using the same identity provider, but different user group allowed to access the content of the swim lane. So when I run this flow, I'm able to log in with the user who is allowed in the group that is allowed by the flow IDP. And if that user tries to access this swim lane and they are not within the group that is allowed, then you are going to see the warning on the screen. Here, I'll run the flow and log in with the user who is not allowed in the swim lane. And you can see what I mean by that. So I am logging in, I run the flow, and I get my Okta IDP page coming up, and I will log in with the user who can access the flow. And here you can see I'm just displaying the username and some information. Click on it, and I get the error waiting for an authorized user to complete the step, and the step name is Swimlane Users. So at this point, the user who is already logged in is just going to stay there because no other user is going to complete this step. It's just that the user is not allowed in the swim lane. And the only way out is back out. I might do a video on sort of how you can perhaps add a navigation to allow the user to go back into the main page. So yeah, I'll show you what you can do. You will be able to change this message to something very meaningful. For example, user is not allowed or user is not authorized to perform this action. So I'll show you how you can update this message here or add a custom message which is more meaningful to the users. Customize the message that is shown on the screen. This is not within the swim lane setup. However, make sure that your first element in the swim lane is a step element, and in there you can configure a message. If your first element is not a step element, if it's a page element, you can also do that. What you need to do is, in this case, I go into my step element, and then you scroll down and look for this box here. As I said, the same one you can do on a page element, and you can put your message there. You can see that it says message to show users that are not authorized to take this action. So I'll put a message here. I'll save this, and when I run it again, you can see that instead of having that message or warning saying that you're waiting for a user to complete an action, this time it will give us something meaningful. So here I'm running the flow with the same user who is allowed to log into the flow, but not to the swim lane. And you can see that this time it says user is not authorized here. And that is showing a more user-friendly, meaningful error message. So yeah, you see that the user has a message which I typed in my step element. So it says you are unauthorized here. That's the message I type in there. Now, depending on your flow design, you may have navigations, which is very useful, and you can have a navigation button there that will allow the user to go back to the main page. Thank you, and I hope this has been helpful to you.